Hello everyone, and welcome to this Zoom for All Hallows. I'm over in the main service, but it's great to be joining you through the power of social media. Been asked to share a few thoughts on today's Bible reading from John's Gospel, better known as the feeding of the 5,000. Now, if I'm honest, it's one of my favourite stories of all the Bible, and I'll explain a little bit later on why. But the context that you always need to, whenever you're reading any of these passages, always look at what's before and what's after. So we read that Jesus had just learnt about his cousin's death, John the Baptist, and he goes off to be alone. Many of us deal with bereavement in different ways, and many of us are currently dealing with bereavement. But Jesus chose to go off alone and to try and spend some quiet time. But the crowds followed him. He had such a reputation that people followed him wherever he went. And in fairness, there was thousands of people followed him. And as they gathered and as they listened and as they just ate on his every single word, they physically also needed feeding. Hence the reason why the passage is called the feeding of the 5,000. And it's always interested me that in the times 2,000 years ago, they only counted the men. There was probably nearly 9, maybe even 10,000 people altogether. So it's a greater miracle than just first appears. But there are 3 miracles I would suggest in this passage. One is that Jesus was able to feed over 5,000 people, even if we said 10,000 people, with 5 loaves and 2 fish. Secondly, that the young boy, that someone was willing to give all he had, his packed lunch for that particular day, knowing that maybe he might not get anything in return. And the third thing, and this might surprise you, was that it was said that the crowd was satisfied. Trying to please everybody is nigh on impossible. My role as Archdeacon, I gave up trying to do that a long time ago. And I'm sure you will find in church, it's still impossible to please everyone. And no matter what decisions are made, somebody will have a counter argument, and justifiably counter argument quite often. But as we come to this passage, it's important for us to remember that Jesus meets every need. He had compassion, he loved the people. He loved the people in Allerton. He loves the people across Liverpool diocese. He has compassion on all people. And also that we have sufficiency in everything that we have if we truly turn it over to Jesus. Sometimes we limit what we can do and what we can achieve because we're trying to do it on our own way and not actually giving it over to Jesus. It's also worth noting in the passage that Jesus did not let anything go to waste. It says in the passage from John, he gathered up the fragment, or they gathered up the fragments that remained, so nothing is lost. They gathered them into those baskets, they shared it out again. I don't know about you, but we live in a world where waste is such an important issue. And as an eco-diocese, our own responsibility that nothing is wasted. Food waste in our homes, in our communities is massive. Even just the consumer mentality going out and replacing something because it doesn't work or it's not fixed. Upcycling has become the new buzzword. 10 years ago, I'd never even heard of the word upcycling. Now it's on every single TV program. But Jesus was the forerunner of that and wasted nothing. I would also like to say that I quite often laugh at this passage whenever I read it, because it's almost a case of, don't know about you, but don't you just hate it when someone asks you a question and they already know the answer? Well, as I read this, I chuckle because Jesus is asking Philip a question, but Jesus already knows what the answer is. Now, I don't know about you, but sometimes I put myself in the position of Philip and I say, how would I respond? Maybe I could have been slightly sarcastic and said, well, Jesus, I've seen you provide water, turn water into wine for the wedding. I've seen you heal with just a word or with your shadow or someone touching the hem of your garment. And even I've heard that Satan himself came to you and said, it's possible for you to turn these stones into bread. And maybe you are God, therefore you can just make bread materialize. There was some of my sarcastic answers, maybe back to Jesus if he was asking me the same question. Or if I'm really honest, maybe I would turn around to him, if I'm brutally honest, and say, you must be joking. You cannot be serious, using the macaron expression. You can't be serious. Look at all the problems. How on earth are we going to do this? Even if we had the resources, it would take us 6 to 8 months' wages to even give the people just a little taste, a little morsel. And Andrew, Bless him, Andrew would probably have wandered around and said, you know, Jesus, we've asked everyone, you got food? No. Have you got any food? No. 4,999 times maybe he asked that to different people, and everyone has said, no, we've got nothing. But then there was this one young boy who gave 5 loaves and 2 fishes. Now that's a big packed lunch. Don't know about you, but 5 loaves and 2 fish makes an incredible fish finger butties, as I call it. But this boy was willing. There was something in him that actually, when it came to the need, he was willing to give everything he had to Jesus. And when he gave it, there's something within me. And the reason why this is really special to me in my life and in my ministry is giving what little I've got, not expecting anything in return. Quite often people give expecting things in return. But this boy didn't. He gave everything he had over to Jesus. You see, I think sometimes we try and control what we have. And even when we give it over to Jesus or give it over to the church, I'm inundated with requests saying, when we do our parish share, can we have this or can we do this? Part of what we're doing is that act of obedience to Jesus, saying, we don't have much, but what little I do have, whether that's the widow's mite or somebody sort of giving £1 million or whatever else over. If you are willing to give £1 million, I will gladly accept it and use it for the kingdom of God in the Diocese of Liverpool. That might not surprise you. But ultimately, giving our fish finger butties is all we can do. Giving our time, our talents, and our treasure in everything that we do. You see, Jesus says that if you have faith the size of a mustard seed, it doesn't matter the size of it, it's actually the heart behind it. And this young boy gave everything that he had, seeing the massive problem. The disciples didn't know what Jesus was going to do. This boy could not have known what Jesus was going to do. But he shared it and shared in the miracle that Jesus did. Because as they gave it to Jesus, Jesus blessed it, gave it back to them, and then they gave it out. So often in our churches, God is giving back to us and asking us to pass it on to those in need in our community, for those without, for those who are lonely, for those who are isolated, for those who are struggling with their mental well-being, for those who are just in that place where they need the comfort, the compassion, and the love of Jesus, for those to be included. May we not exclude people from our churches because they don't fit or they don't look right. You see, so often we can concentrate on what we don't have and not concentrate on the little that we do have. And my encouragement to you this morning as you think about this feeding of the 5,000 is, all it took was that little boy giving what little he had. He recognized what he had and he was willing to share it. May we this morning give what little we have, not only in financial terms, although that's important, but also in our time, giving the little time. Time is such a precious commodity nowadays, but giving our time to the service of others, to the service of our community, to the service of the church, and also our talents. We are inundated and blessed as a church that so many of you carry so many talents, the ability to do things and to do them well. And part of our gift, part of our feeding of our communities is to give those talents back to the church and back to Jesus and say, use it, and then look to him to produce the miracle. It's not really down to us. So everything that we do, we keep on giving. And remember that final thing that Jesus did. Everybody was satisfied. And I think our heart and our prayer is that everybody is going to be satisfied through the work and the outreach of everything that you do here at All Hallows. So God bless you all as you continue to serve God, as you continue to see God being stirred up among you. And may God richly bless you all as you give your 5 loaves and 2 fishes, or as I call it, my fish finger butties. May each one of us share our fish finger butties with one another as we go forward. God bless you all. Bye-bye.